Hello, my name is David O'Brien. And I'm here for your success in the areas of purity. Welcome back to the Purity Forum broadcast. My name is David O'Brien, the bondage breaker, and I'm here to talk with you today about a very important topic, which is, can I trust the media regarding purity? Now, what is the media? Of course, media just means a medium of exchange, a tool, some sort of a device or technology to let people communicate. In other words, you're not talking directly to someone one-on-one. You're hearing through a newspaper, through a magazine, through television, through the internet. Some way you are hearing what someone has to say. So there is not just the media. We say the media, but there is a majority of programming. Depending on what country you're from, it may have different angles, different messages completely. But in the quote unquote Western countries, including the United States, a lot of what comes through the media is one. In other words, it has a single bent or mindset. And of course it changes continually. But it's like a herd or a force of beasts that are running a certain direction, and they switch together and they switch together. And in other words, it runs pretty much together. Now, on some levels, it's very entertaining, some levels very educational, profitable, but I'm talking about, can you trust it regarding purity? And I'll tell you, the answer is no, okay? The answer is absolutely not. Why? It's too dangerous. Purity has to do with the way your physical body works, the way the brain works, the way the part of the brain that controls desires in us works. And because of that, we can't stand just making big mistakes. We can definitely not take our own body and ourselves, our life, and throw it to the wind. And when it comes to sexuality, the media will often portray people who live like that, throwing their life to the wind, getting hurt, be used by people, using people, and it shows them, unfortunately, as happy. It shows that as a certain lifestyle some people choose, and it's okay. And if you trust that, if you follow that model, you could find out very quickly it was a lie. You can't trust something that's a lie. Now, the media programming is often there simply to get paid, to get your money, to get advertising dollars based on the amount of people watching. So sometimes they actually plan to take what's reasonable, what's okay, and push the boundary of that into what's not in order to captivate the mind, make a person say, oh, look at that, and even get people talking about it, positive or negative or shock value. This has been going on for a long time in the United States, and it has actually gradually pushed the boundary when it comes to sexuality from a very protective situation in which men and women were taught by parents, grandparents, great-grandparents to protect themselves in that area in order to preserve their sanity much of the time, but also to preserve their relationships and in order to have order in life and a good marriage that lasts your whole life, all kinds of things like that. Just some things that they saw as common sense, reasonable, and they worked. Now, it didn't work perfectly. It's not enough. I'm going to tell you that. You need a spiritual side of life to have full fulfillment. You actually need to be plugged into God and let him communicate to you. And then there's a flow of communication that comes down into you. It is the most fulfilling thing in the universe. It's the most fulfilling thing by far on earth. And then you also, it's just amazing what he'll do in your life, how he'll rearrange your life. It can turn completely different than what it was or what it is. So trusting in him is really, really good. But I'm going to tell you, if you trust in something that's shifty, that changes every few years, every year, every few years, every 10 years, every 20 years, and that's what the media has done and will continue to do. But if you trust in that, it's like sand. that shifts at the ocean. And if there's a huge wave, it's going to crush, and you actually aren't on anything solid. You need truth, which makes you solid. And that's like the rock you can stand on. And that's what basically God is offering you. The teachings that I do here, they can help. Books that I've written in the Supernatural Sex Ed series, they'll help. My book For Freedom will help. Big time it'll help. I mean, these are huge doses of help that God himself will write on the inside of you. You can have those. They're available on Amazon and elsewhere. There are many other good resources out there, many, for different areas of your life. But I'm just sharing you, when it comes to purity, if you trust these people who don't know you, who are, sometimes they want money, sometimes they just want you to be miserable as them. Because many times, producers and especially writers of the shows and the movies, they haven't made the decisions that have given them peace. And honestly, misery loves company. They want to lure you into the same lifestyle so that you experience the same bondage that they're in. Really. And then they can feel better about themselves. That's a terrible way to live, but that's how a lot of the creative aspect when it comes to sexuality goes in Hollywood. And I love Hollywood. You see I have the sign Hollywood back here because Hollywood will be saved. All it needs is a good spray of the fire of God with the gospel. It'll change that whole place, the mentality there, the mentality of the people, and that's gonna happen from the ground up. It's gonna be powerful. It's gonna be wonderful. So I'm looking for that. But what I'm sharing is be careful who and what you follow, because it is taking you somewhere. You don't just hitch yourself to the back of a truck when you don't know the person in there. They don't even love you. They don't know you. What if they're going to drive off a cliff and you'll be with them? And that's what much of the media has done. So it's very important to have a source of light, to have light that is shining in your life constantly, a lamp, that's perpetually on. And so that at any time you can look that direction, just fill up with the truth that comes not from a human. It comes through people, but it comes from God, the one who loves you, who created the universe. He understands everything. He understands sexuality. He understands your body. And he also understands you as an individual, what you need, how marriage can work for you. See, marriage is the topic of sexuality. It's sexuality and marriage are linked inseparably in God's mind and in God's message. Because when you don't have it, it can be a whirlwind, a spiraling disaster. But he offers that to people, and it can actually help a person get out of a life of chaos. Marriage can. But even marriage, it's not just any marriage. You don't just grab on to the first guy who seems outwardly like he's a good fit. And men, you don't just grab onto the first woman who seems to let you, to accept you. No. You build up yourself through your relationship with God, your Father, through Jesus, and by the Word, different forms of the Word. You build yourself up. And that is really development, self-development. You're cleaning, your mind is getting cleansed, and then you're prepared. And then God himself is who you want to trust when it comes to the topic of purity, so that you can live happily ever after.